Welcome. I am Alex Albritton, your host. And for those of you who know me from the Detroit radio market, that is the same Alex Albritton that did almost 20 years in WHPR in Highland Park. That was simulcast television and radio. I don't think it's simulcast anymore, but that's me. That's the same Alex Albritton. And the purpose of this show, unlike the other show I did at 910 and WHPR, is to get out factual information to those who live in this market, whether it's Detroit, Highland Park, Hamtramck, what have you. Because there's a lot of disinformation going out to people, and they are the ones most terribly affected by it. So whatever we put out, believe me, we're going to check, triple check, and make certain that it's accurate information for you to deal with all this foolishness that's going on now. I have as my very special co-host and guest for today, and hopefully for countless shows in the future, Miss Theo Broughton, who is a veteran of how can I put this, Theo? She's a veteran of dealing with community affairs issues in the city of Detroit, Highland Park, and Hamtramck, and has always been on the right side of every issue. Never known her to be on the wrong side of the issue. So, without further ado, please say hello to Miss Theo Broughton, and hope that I can have her back innumerable times to co-host this show with me. Theo?
Well, just first I should say Happy New Year. For everyone that I have not had an opportunity to speak with, just Happy New Year. And I have to say that even though there are some strange things going on these days, and we are being subjected to the kind of treatment that we do not deserve. Here in this country, we have been unfortunate to have a person take a hold of the White House, who we would have been better off not being the recipients of same. But anyway, I spend time dwelling on what is going on within the community and around me, because everything is not as bleak as it appears to be. We have international issues, national issues, issues here in this country, in the state, in the counties, and in the city. And if it's true that everything is local, then we need to concentrate on what is local.
Yes.
And we need to do what we can to encourage those who are registered to participate in the policies within our community, to actually go out and vote and really participate in them.
That's so critically important right now.
Rather than just sit and complain. Because there are some people who will only sit and complain rather than strategize and talk with as many as they think they have to talk with. To find out about different views, different strategies.
And different faces, different colors, different backgrounds.
Absolutely.
I was quite touched by a commercial that they played in honor of the passing of or in honor of the life, I should say, of Jesse Jackson. And it spoke about specifically different colors, different shades, different backgrounds, different futures, all of that. And it was one of the most moving commercials I've ever seen. Quite frankly, I hate to, pardon me, I hate to call it a commercial. That's the wrong term. It was an informational ad. I'll put it that way. And I have not always agreed with anybody. I don't agree with my wife all the time. But Jesse was no exception. I was, in fact, very critical of him in some instances. But by and large, Jesse Jackson was a square dealer. He was always on the side of the people. He always put the people first. And for that, he should be commended.
You know,
Unheard of.
well, what I was perturbed about, I guess you could say, is in the city of Detroit. This was about 82, 83. He ran in 84, right?
Yes.
Okay. But he was coming to Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, he knew Clyde Cleveland. Clyde Cleveland was a Detroit City Councilman.
Right.
And my daughter worked for Clyde Cleveland at the time.
Oh, that's right. What was your daughter's name?
Michelle.
Okay.
There was a young lady who is now the ombudsman who worked for Clyde Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And the young man who he's a lawyer on, he's a judge on TV. God, his name on tip of my tongue. He's a judge on TV, black guy. He used to work for Clyde Cleveland.
Yeah.
And the three of them were in the office. Jesse Jackson came in, of course, to see Clyde Cleveland. And Clyde introduced him to the three of them. He took his time to talk to them. He didn't come there to talk to them, but he spent time, he was concerned about the community.
Yes.
He could have come in and, snubbed his nose and I'm going to be here a minute and bye. But he spent time talking with the three of them. So anyway, when he finished that, Clyde Cleveland said, well, I'll be, back shortly. Going down to the mayor's office. He went to the mayor's office with Jesse Jackson, introduced them to one another. After he died, no media, and I channel surfed. I didn't see every single one, but I saw a lot of stations. Not one mentioned the fact that he knew, met, worked with Mayor Coleman Alexander Young. Not one that I saw. And of course, if he was running for president inside the city of Detroit, don't you think that Mayor Coleman Alexander Young would have worked with him and helped him?
Of course.
He did. However, no media made mention of Mayor Coleman Alexander Young. They mentioned other people. They mentioned Aretha Franklin. Seemed like every time somebody opened their mouth,
Right.
they mentioned, oh yeah, he knew Aretha Franklin. He would come to Aretha Franklin's parties. Didn't mention Mayor Young. He mentioned Rosa Parks. Anyway, that's just an example of how the media is in the city of Detroit.
Well, they've always been, as far back as I can remember, always leaned to the right of center. I know you remember Bill Bonds and what a racist he was. truth.
Yeah, he drank to that.
Yes. He was, there was a real tit for tat between him and a co-host, and I cannot recall her name right now. Not Doris Day. Not
Her name was Doris.
Doris Biscoe.
Thank you. Right.
But there was this young lady who was a member of Hartford Baptist Church. And the night previous, there was a particular community meeting that took place. And Bill Bonds wanted to claim knowledge of this community meeting and drown her out of the conversation. She was a member of Hartford. This young lady, and they fired her. Just because of that rift with Bill Bonds that lasted all of 30 seconds. And she lost her job. Yeah, she sure did. I cannot recall her name at the moment, but Bill Bonds was he was something else. Really, not in a good way. He was just something else, you know. And there were others that hid their racist tendencies, as, for instance, and I won't call his name because he currently holds a chair on one of the 3 stations here in Detroit, but it's not hidden when you become number one in the chair. They let that be known that they are a visitor. They let that be known that doesn't belong to the co-host. And a lot of people have lost their jobs. They've lost their jobs. Black women in particular, I'm talking about. And we'll get into that over time because that is worthy of attention. What's the young lady's name that's on Channel 7?
Donna Lewis's daughter?
Who?
Donna Lewis's daughter?
Yes, thank you, Theo. See, this is why you're here. Theo?
Yes.
This is what, because I'm getting old and forgetful. But yeah, there have been a lot of incidents that have taken place over time, and the most obvious one that comes to my mind is the rift between Doris Biscoe and not Jack LaGoff, but there was another fellow. It'll come to me later. But Scripps Howard, which is the name of the company that hosts Channel 7 Action News and all that, big company. And they certainly fit the label of DEI. That's for sure. They've been in DEI long before it even came up. You know? Yes, indeed. But I want to move on to something that is affecting our community 24/7, and that is Immigration Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE. As everyone knows, there have been 4 maybe 5 human beings that have lost their lives at the hands of ICE. This administration refuses to give up the data that they have to investigate the case. There have been innumerable people assaulted. I've heard of rapes. All that's to be expected when you have a goon force loose in the community. When I say community, I'm talking about from Florida to Washington and back over the entire country. And the only people that can do anything about that, really do anything about it, are the numbers of folk who live here in this country. Peaceful protest in large numbers can make a difference. And I'm sure you know more about that than most people feel, because you have really stood up against people over the years and made a difference where other people could never have made such a difference. So would you like to talk a little bit about how you feel about ICE and what they're doing in our community now? By the way, there's an office that's opened in Southfield.
It opened already?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Not far from where we are. So, but go ahead.
you know, it's interesting that so many people don't really understand what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, all of them have not read the book, which is Mein Kampf.
Yes.
Most of them have not studied Adolf Hitler, and so it's not easy for them to recognize some of the things that are taking place.
Mm-hmm.
What I find is interesting. The congressman that represents the east side of Detroit has a commercial on that talks about getting rid of ICE and not having ICE in walking the streets of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And the Democratic Party, however, he's only one member of the Democratic Party.
Are you speaking about Lamar Lemons?
No, and now I'm getting like it. He is the second member of Congress representing the east side of Detroit. And he wrote a book when he started campaigning.
Mm-hmm.
And he had, I think he had $5 million to start. And was
Really?
able to pay, oh yes, he was able to pay for his own campaign.
Wow.
And passed out some of the books were on his life.
Mm-hmm.
And he has been very helpful, even if you don't live on the east side of Detroit. He has been helpful to the community.
Oh, wow.
And I think of his name, but he works with Congress and has this commercial that comes on daily, because this is the time for Congress members to be reelected, and he's biding his time and measuring his steps, his commercials, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he has not been afraid to talk about being rid of ICE is interesting. It's commendable, because it seems that many of the members of Congress are afraid to speak up. And more recently, because some of the protesters have been shot and in instances murdered, it does make a difference and has made a difference in who continues to go out and who continues to speak up. So it takes someone who is determined to wake up the masses and just show them what is going on. Not just tell them, but they're showing them also what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunately sometimes it takes a one-on-one conversation as opposed to a conversation
That's right.
to a whole group of people. But whatever it takes, you have to be willing to participate and be involved.
But there are so few people nowadays like that. They're more interested in having an iPhone at their ready that they can play with and go through, than having a meaningful conversation with another human being.
Yeah.
That's what we are missing in our society. And I hope, and I sincerely mean this, I hope that we can somehow return to the days when iPhones weren't part of our.
Yeah. Well, you know, Congress has said recently that they're going to pass a law. I didn't check lately to find out where they are with that. But they want to demand that the school districts stop students from bringing those cell phones in the classroom and playing with them rather than learning the lesson for the day.
Right.
So, in order for us to go back a little bit, we're not going back all the way because they're not going to get on computers.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, when they take control over these phones that are just dominating everybody's life, how do you get addicted to a telephone?
Yeah.
They're just addicted to it. There's no other description. They're addicted to the phone.
I'm glad you brought that up because just yesterday on the World Evening News, Mark Zuckerberg was seen at the White House, whatever, and it's been alleged that they have put together a particular algorithm to go in these phones that gets kids and young adults and others addicted, where they just stand there or sit there and just go over and over and over and over again for hours at the time. And clearly there's something wrong. I don't know whether it's an algorithm or not, but I know that whatever it is, it's an evil spirit, put it that way, that gets in these phones, and these kids and young people just spend hours and hours and hours going through them. I can't do that. I just can't. I'm a student myself.
Can I add something to that topic?
Yeah, go ahead.
Whitmer passed a law to ban.
Sit down.
Whitmer passed the law to ban cell phones in the classroom as of last week, and it takes effect 26 to 27 school year. Students cannot have cell phones in class without prior permission from the administrative staff or for classroom use or an emergency or otherwise permitted. But generally, students are not allowed to have cell phones in the classroom. And Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat all have algorithms for their Reels or Shorts platform to make people addicted to it. So I gotta say on that.
Wow.
Well, that in and of itself lets us know that it's not just the phone itself. There's something else at play.
No, it's not the phone, it's the platforms.
And knowing that it's those four lets you know a whole lot because so many are using that. And I have a friend whose son has 1,000,001 watching him.
1,000,000 what?
People, 1,000,001 people.
Oh, you mean online?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He's on. I believe she told me he's on TikTok.
Lord.
So,
what is the what kind?
He's using it to make money. And it's a I guess a set number of people where you start. If you reach that mark,
right.
Then as you go up,
they give you monetization money.
Yes. So he's monetizing TikTok for his benefit. So anyway, she said that she has checked it, so it's not anything that's X-rated. So
How old is he?
I think he's 19.
Okay.
I think he's in college. I think he's 19.
Yeah.
She's a administrator at the college too.
Oh, what college?
She's at WC3.
Okay. WC3, speaking of WC3, they have late, and I don't know whether it's the Dr. Ivory is responsible for it or not. Give credit where it's due, if it's due. But lately, I have to give WC3 some credit. They've been turning out some well-prepared students in the workforce. The problem is when they get out in the workforce, they can't find a job that suits their training. They can't find a job.
Well, there was a discussion on some program that talked about that because of AI. They say that has come out, and it takes a lot of the entry level positions.
That's right.
So a lot of young people who would be a recent graduate, who would be applying for entry level positions, find that the entry level positions have been snapped up by AI, and the corporate folk want to use AI only because big green dollars. They don't have to worry about providing insurance, off days, pay, retirement, lunchtime, and training costs, and anything else that has a cost to it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because just the day before yesterday, the board operator I had at 9:10 a.m. Quit and went to work for Amazon as a truck driver, and now he's quit that job, turned in his stuff, quit, and now he had to be rehired again as a board operator at a higher rate of pay. He said, he's making $26 an hour.
Wait a minute. Whoa, hold it. Wait now. Originally, he resigned to take a job.
With Amazon as a truck driver.
Oh, with Amazon. Okay. Then Amazon fired him.
No, he quit.
Oh, he quit
both
Amazon.
Times, yeah.
Why did he quit Amazon?
He quit both times. Then he quit, and now he's been rehired again at a higher rate of pay than he was making previously.
Yeah, there was a song back then. Nice work if you can get it.
Right, if you can get it. That's right.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. I told him.
They actually took him back. It's interesting.
Well,
Twice.
no, they went to him and asked that he accept a position at a higher rate of pay.
Oh.
That's how bad they needed him. He's making almost $27 an hour.
That was worth quitting.
So, hey, I'm a nice young man. That's why we're still in touch, even after I left 910 2.5 years ago. Very nice guy. Been here to the house 2-3 times. Birthday parties and all that kind of thing. But let us get back to ICE, which is the primary point of conversation that we need to be discussing this evening and probably in many future programs. Some very, very ugly things have been reported by Immigration Customs Enforcement or about them. And I wonder if we can police some of this ourselves because we are not safe at their hands at all. We are in grave danger at their hands. And I don't go, I sleep with one eye open right now. I sleep with one eye open. You know, how can I sleep with people driving around in vans, snatching people off the street?
Right. Well, you know, in the city of Detroit, the police chief,
Which is, what is his name?
Todd Pedersen.
Todd Pedersen.
He has stated that he's working with the process, due process.
Okay.
But his intent, according to what he has learned about two of his police officers, is such that one of them called Homeland Security to identify a person they had stopped. And see, the issue with Homeland Security is where ICE is.
Right.
So
Let me understand this now. Homeland Security stopped one of DPD's people.
DPD pulled someone over, and they said that they need to identify them. They called Customs and Border Protection because this was happening downtown area near the border.
Okay.
Called Customs and Border Protection. They took over the stop and then later arrested him for violating immigration law, and his custody was turned over to ICE, and now he's in an ICE detention facility. But DPD policy says Detroit police officers are not to interact with Customs and Border Protection or Department of Homeland Security unless it's a part of an investigation or some sort. They don't call DHS or ICE to identify people on a stop.
Okay.
They have to rely on other methods, and they want to. And he already terminated two of the officers without pay. They are trying to appeal that, and they are suing the department. But all of the officers involved were already fired by Edison.
it's serious.
Yeah, serious.
And the other issue here is Detroit is an international city.
Yes.
You don't hear people talking about international waterways. There was such hatred for Mayor Coleman Alexander Young that we never had cruise ships, plural, stopping in Detroit. We had the Gordy studio here. People around the world wanted to come here as they're on their cruise ships. You see, cruise ships go around the state of Michigan to get to Chicago. They don't go around anywhere else.
Wait a minute, they go around what?
The state of Michigan.
Oh,
To get
like
to Chicago.
just to get to
A
Lake
ship.
Michigan. Right.
A ship, yes. It goes to all the 5 lakes. It goes past Detroit. They wave sometimes. You down there, you see the folk on the ship, and they go around the mitten. Okay,
Yeah.
like that. Chicago's over here. To get to Chicago now, Chicago is a distribution point in the United States of America. So anywhere you want to drive a truck, train, or whatever, you can go from Chicago. And they said, we are not going to give this cruise ships in Detroit. Do you know how huge Detroit would have been if we had cruise ships
Yeah,
coming?
well, I'm sure.
He was able to build a building and had a port authority. I think one ship stopped one time for, I don't know, some reason.
So they wanted to ignore Detroit to the extent
They wanted to ignore Coleman Young.
Coleman Young.
That's what they wanted
to
to
the
do.
extent that no business would be done with the Port Authority.
No business will be done with Detroiters,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the end result. You know, only big ships on Detroit River were Boblo ships.
Don't I remember?
Yeah.
I remember?
But no cruise ships were coming here.
There was a lot of money that was wasted, just went right down the tubes. Hundreds of millions of dollars, you know. But Theo, before we go, because we're up against the clock.
You want to take a break?
No, we've got seven more minutes. But ICE is now has been in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
They have been out in the neighborhoods. I'm sure you heard about it.
Especially Southwest Detroit, Latinos.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on that side, easy down the road to the airport.
Yeah, but with Theo, what about in the neighborhoods, in the black neighborhoods? Have they ignored that or what?
No, they're working their way up to that. They definitely. You see, the buildings, it appears, that are being taken to be fashioned into jails.
Yes.
Okay. Privately owned, first of all.
Right. Yes.
But those huge buildings, they said, we have 500 beds. Well, 500 beds doesn't sound bad, you know. 500 beds, 500 more people on the floor, on the side of the wall everywhere. That's to distract.
Theo, at the bottom line to all of this is they want to reinstitute slavery in this country.
Mm-hmm.
They want to reintroduce dirt cheap labor into this country. Make it for 50 cents and sell it for $2 or $10 or whatever, okay? And the person that made it received nothing. We would be the biggest fools in the country to allow slavery or dirt cheap labor to be reinstituted into this country. We must, absolutely must fight this. We must oppose it. These so-called detention centers are all over the country.
Yeah. But let me tell you this. We got to get back to what we started in the very beginning. Voting in large numbers.
Yes.
Okay? Because of what has been said for the past year or so.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I won as president, it was a fair election.
Mm-hmm.
When I lost the election, fraud was going on.
Right.
Now we come to this new election.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he can't say fraud was done because he won.
Mm-hmm.
Fraud was done because he lost. No fraud was done because he won. I know. So this new election, well, I won because there were many more voters out there. That's the latest saying. So you get rid of the Latinos and you have more time to get rid of the people of color.
Right.
Exactly. And if he starts another war, then he said, I read somewhere that I can stay as president if that happens. However,
Please remember, this man will do anything to stay in that White House. And please remember this too. The White House was built by the hands of black slaves.
That's right. Therefore, if a large election is what got him in, that's what we got to work
That's
Let's
for sure.
start now working towards a large election.
But Theo, do you think that Detroit would be the how can I say it? The a really important voting place that it was 4 years ago, or do you think it has slid in importance?
No, it's still important.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it is still important. It's just working with the people to help them understand how important they really are.
'Cause I don't think they really understand that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't think they understand.
They don't
And I say that because of the lack of enthusiasm and the like that occurred 4 years ago. I don't see it on the street today. And you know what? I tell you this. On election day of 4 years ago, no, strike that, 2.5 years ago, I knew on election day that Harris and Biden would not win that election because there was no enthusiasm on the street. There was just no enthusiasm out there. When Coleman Young ran and won for mayor in '73, you could tell on election day there was so much enthusiasm. You knew there was no way Coleman Young could lose. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was one of the most enthusiastic days I've ever seen in politics.
Yeah.
It was just, it was something to behold. It really was. But we've got to repeat that times 10. That enthusiasm, that fervor. We can't take anything for granted because we are up against people who will do anything to steal this election at any cost. It doesn't matter. They want to steal it, and he wants to remain president forever. Forever.
Yeah.
Now, how do you remain president forever? You don't actually have an election. That's how you do it. Okay? And he's certainly willing to do that. You know, so we've got to be smarter. We've got to be quicker. We've got to be willing to do anything it takes to keep them from stealing democracy right out of our hands. If we lose it, it'll be our fault. Don't you agree?
Yeah. In a way,
But tell me what you think about that, Theo, when you say in a way.
I think that right now the Democratic Party is they're frozen. They don't seem to know what to do or which way to go. And they're not saying anything. Why aren't they saying anything?
Well, I think the messaging is somehow flawed and has been flawed for some time. They need to fight harder. They need to fight. They need to fight with everything they have and then some to beat the Republican Party. See, that's why the Republican Party has been so successful over time because they are willing to do whatever it takes to win that election, whether it's here or whether it's in New Hampshire or whether it's Florida or California or wherever. When on election night, they are willing to leave whatever it is on the floor of that ring. Okay, we can't be Miss Goody Two Shoes. We've got to fight harder than they fight. You know, and I think that's been missing over several election cycles. The Democrats, they call them do nothing Democrats.
You know, I think about Republicans who are campaigning as Democrats. You know, and it seems that the Democrats don't want to believe that's happening. You know? But you just said it; they'll do anything.
Whatever it takes.
That's right. And if that's true, yes, they will run and pretend that they are a Democrat. So, our people have to, in the Democratic Party, have to understand that and come up with counter phrases, counter terms, all kinds of counter strategies for what is actually taking place.
Right.
They don't have a choice about this. They don't have a choice to say, well, I'm going to sit this one out. You sit this one out, you're going to be in one of the prisons they build.
You can't sit one out. We can't afford for any registered voter to sit out an election because if you don't vote, you don't count. Okay, you've got to not only cast your vote, but you got to get the votes cast from everybody on your street and the next block and the next block after that, and so on and so on. We just got to knock doors until it bleeds our hands. You know.
I like that saying though. If you don't vote, you don't count.
That's so true.
I like what you said.
That's so true.
Because it seems to me that more of the people were registered. If we did not register another person, we have more than enough to vote.
We do.
We keep registering people to vote because the ones that are there don't understand. If they don't vote, they don't count.
But you know what, Theo? I think this president wants to make an example out of Detroit because they went to blows last time out to count every ballot to make sure every person voted. He said so earlier in the week that he was going to make an example out of Detroit, which meant that he was going to send ICE here for as long as it took. See, that's the example that he wanted to set with the city of Detroit. And man, oh man, you know, some people have already been hurt that we don't even know about. We've already been hurt. You know, we got a lot going on, and people need to know if somebody comes to your door with a so-called warrant. If that warrant is not signed by a circuit or district court judge, it is no good. People need to know that. They need to know that. If that warrant is not signed at the bottom by a circuit or district court judge, it is no good.
But how would you know? If somebody came to your door and had a card or a piece of paper and said, this is from a judge. What if you don't know any of the judges? A lot of people vote, they don't know the judges. A lot of people don't even vote for judges.
That's true. That's also true.
So you don't really know what is legitimate and what isn't.
Theo, I'm glad you brought that up. Next week, we're going to discuss this in detail because in the middle of that page, or warrant rather, if that warrant is signed in the middle of that page, it is what's called an administrative warrant. If it is signed at the bottom of that page, it is a bona fide judicial warrant. Okay? And you're obligated to answer that warrant. I think I'm going to try and get Bruce Morrow, retired circuit judge Bruce Morrow, or some other people on this program that can really explain that for our listeners, because they need to know.
Well, oh yes, yeah. Well, see, I don't doubt the placement of signatures, etc. I'm just saying, how do I know you didn't show me a copy? AI is out there. How do I know AI didn't make up one?
You have a good point.
Right?
You have a good point, Theo.
So it's just, it's like they'll tell you if somebody comes one summer, I think it was 2 years ago, and they were going through the neighborhood and they were checking the electric meter. I don't know what they were checking.
Oh, you mean the title on homes?
No, not a title. The electric
Oh, yeah.
And why are they doing that? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know this. I didn't see a truck with a sign on it. Not that that would have been much. You know, and they got an ID badge. So, okay. So
Well,
what if I took that
Tell them I
ID
put
badge?
an example up of a